Hi, my name is Dan, and this video is one in a series of videos I'm doing on the design of weapons for video games and weapon sets, and it's part of a larger suite of videos that I'm doing about games design and game design topics. And in this one, this is within the series on weapons. This is the third in a short sub-series, if you like, just reviewing some particular types of weapons. So I had a look at guns, mostly looking at real life. Then in the last video, I had a look at fantasy weapons and the tropes that are used there. And in this one, I want to look at unusual weapons. So there's the opportunity, obviously, in video games to bend reality to your own wishes and to be able to do all sorts of amazing and fantastic things. So I have, obviously, some experience of playing games. I have also trawled through several articles and sites and videos that talk about what, in their opinion, are the craziest weapons in video games. And I'm going to present, having distilled from those, what I think is my opinion of the 7 craziest weapons or well thought of crazy weapons in video games. And then I'm going to follow that with some thoughts about crazy weapons and some generalizations. So here we go. Let's plow straight in. So we've got the chainsaw gun. It's got another name as well from the Gears of War series. So this combines a gun at the top half with a chainsaw at the bottom bit that you can use to slash people with. There's the shrink ray. This is one of my personal favorites from Duke Nukem 3D. And that's many, many years ago. This shows you how old I am and how long I've been playing games. So this is part way through the process of using the gun. You've fired at somebody with a gun. This is an enemy in front. And you've squished the enemy down to a small size. And then the word squish is appropriate here because the next thing you do is you walk forwards and you step on them. How satisfying is that? Don't try this in real life. Okay, the Matic from Saints Row the 3rd, which is a gun where you fire fish guts at somebody, it covers them in fish guts, and then a shark appears out of the ground and eats them up. And this, yeah, a lot of fun. Exploding Sheep from the Worms series, a classic from many of the Worms games. Here in the center of the screen is a sheep, which I think it's counting down and is about to explode. Why is an exploding sheep more funny than just an exploding something or other, anything else? I don't know. It's something about the fact that it's a sheep. And staying on the subject of sheep, there's the Sheepinator from Ratchett and Clank, which is where you can turn your enemies into sheep. Lots of fun. Mutated Milk from Team Fortress 2, which has this milk and it has mutated a bit of bread inside it, and you chuck it at your enemies and the bread starts eating away at the enemies, which is just highly unusual. And then the one that tops almost every list of unusual weapons, I confess I've not played this one myself, but it sounds so much fun, Mr. Toots, who is a unicorn that you can fire laser-like rainbows out of his rear end. And obviously this seems to create some kind of distress to the unicorn in the process, which in its own right seems to be somehow funny. This is obviously a great favourite for people. How do you go about designing unusual weapons? Well, there are all sorts of things that you can do. There are some common themes that you can draw out of unusual weapons that not just the ones that I've presented here, but in general. So animals seem to be a huge theme. So animals made into guns of some kind, animals that are used as projectiles. So I came across a mollusk gun. I came across a crossbow that fired little fairy creatures. All sorts of things that you could do there. And finally turning enemies into animals like the Sheepinator. Domesticated farm animals seem to be the favourites for these, so things like sheep, cows, chickens, particularly, and there is something about those three kinds of animals that's fundamentally funny. But I also, don't see why you can't use, obviously, unicorns, horses, duck-billed platypuses, giraffes. There are some inherently funny animals that can be used if you want to be funny. And I guess if you're going for unusual weapons, sometimes the point really is for it to be funny. Food is also a common theme in quite a lot of these weapons. Either turning food into weapons, possibly less often, but firing food or turning your enemies into food. So the same combinations as we've had above. Controlling the enemy in various ways can be done. So dancing seems to be quite a popular one. Making them uncontrollably dance. It's just, again, it's funny. Or making them sleep, or turning them into something else, or confusing them in some way, or making them on your side, or making them fall in love, or, all sorts of different effects you can have that are non-damaging in terms of health, but give you some kind of combat advantage. Adult humour is the last of the themes. I haven't shown any pictures of any of these. They invariably involve body parts, or they could be toilet humour involved, so that can involve waste products, let's say delicately. Okay, so the final thing is a couple of thoughts about designing unusual weapons. The first one is, obviously, you can use your imagination, and some of these best weapons have come out of some kind of curiously twisted imagination. Having a fertile imagination is a great thing for a games designer. Keeping that under control can be problematic if you have such a fertile imagination, but it is a great boon to you if you've got that kind of imagination. And the other thing that I'd throw in is that the best unusual weapons don't necessarily have to be funny ones, but they're ones that give you new tactics and new ways of doing things. I think for comedy value, a lot of the unusual weapons basically are guns by another name, or swords by another name, or something else that has basically the same effect as other weapons. But where I think it gets really interesting is where you have things like the shark gun, which is where you've got this different mechanism that's working, and particularly so ones that things like dance guns and turning the enemy into sheep. That's a different effect, and so then that becomes something you can use in different ways, in tactical ways. So it's about tactical choices for the player. Okay, so that's been a quick run through unusual weapons. You'll have your own favourites, I have no doubt. That's it from me for now.